he was just engrossed. Like, he's just, I don't know, if you've ever been around him, you know that he's more than a dog. I don't know, I'm trying to get him in the shot here. Let's see. Okay, Mortimer, let's get you. Okay. Ah, what the heck? Come here. Oh, hello, little guy. So, yeah, he loves carrots. There you go. Oh boy. Oh boy. So, anyways, I gotta wash my hands. You're supposed to do that when you're cooking, even though, you know, Mortimer transcends basic needs and desires. Anyways, so I was just saying, I hope I didn't throw anybody off too bad by not starting at 11. I do like to start on the hour whenever possible, but I'm still under construction with all these little projects that I'm working on, little big projects. And sometimes if inspiration strikes or somebody really needs me, I do shift the priority temporarily. But I sure appreciate you tuning in. And today I'm gonna show you, I don't know, he's lit up. You're gonna think I don't feed him, but I do. I feed him about 1.5 cups of natural dog food, well, homemade dog food a day. Sit. Okay. Give him a couple of these. They stay a little occupied with fiber. Got some rainbow colored. Hi, Gabriella and Sherry. It's nice to have the neighborhood on board. And I'm just gonna put a little quick pitch in for the Starbucks over 67th and Beardsley, I think. That's what my phone says. I don't really tend to retain the names of stuff all the time, but the location is just fantastic, and it takes such good care of us. And it's just like, if I don't spend any money, like, quick in any given day on anything else, I don't mind at all my money going to that Starbucks, because it's just, I don't know, it's refreshing. We feel good. I probably shouldn't be talking so good about it, because then other people are going to go there. So yeah, don't go there. It's okay. No, it's great. Gabriella and all the people that work there, just really good energy, very positive, and I take care of Mortimer. So anyways, I'm making homemade dog food, and the reason I am making that, maybe I'll make this a little more visually interesting. Got some different components here. Let's see, maybe I can move this so you see what's gonna happen and what is happening. And I don't want to call myself an amateur because I'm an expert on my own life, but you know, thanks for your patience and understanding as I continue to tweak stuff and figure out the best way to do stuff. I guess that's part of life. Just kind of thinking out loud here because that's what I like to do. Anyways, so I did a good bit of research, and you know, I noticed Mortimer just wouldn't really get that excited about his food. I always bought him what I believed to be high quality stuff, but it was still, you know, those little brown, kind of dense, dry nuggets. And you know, I do the lamb and rice, chicken and rice, whatever. You know, a picture of the happy, healthy dog on the outside. A little more expensive. I thought that was the way to go. But it just kind of hit me one day. I was like, you know, it's not very appealing to me. And yeah, I was afraid to do something different. But then I was like, well, it's kind of like being afraid to do anything other than eat at Taco Bell. It's like, just because you know it doesn't mean it's really ideal. Just because it's familiar and, you know, in theory it ain't gonna kill you, at least in the short term. And he's talking to me. He knows I'm cooking. He knows I'm gonna make dog food. That's very exciting to him. Probably because for 6 years he was eating dog food that was made by people that I guess maybe don't really like dogs that much. Because processed dog food, I don't know, I'd be depressed if I had to eat that stuff every day. Anyways, his food would like sit in his bowl until I guess he would just really get kind of desperately hungry, and then he'd chomp on it and that'd be it. But now, morning and night, when it's time to eat, he's like, Mom, it's food time. And he comes and talks to me, and yeah, here, let me here, you part of this. And so what I found in my research, it says with the homemade dog food, you want to do a pound and a half, or basically a pound, no, sorry, for 10 pounds of dog weight. You know, one was like, Mom, what are you doing? You want to do a cup. So since Mortimer's around 15 pounds fighting weight, he's all muscle, this little punk, I give him about 1.5 cups. And if he seems extra hungry, I'll even go as far as 2 cups. And in the proportions, it ends up being a lot more protein than anything else. I found a recipe that I felt pretty good about based on just the different stuff I read. And I found a homeopathic vet that's supposed to be pretty good and also reasonable pricing over in Surprise. So I'm gonna get in with her and get some support, but I talked to somebody that goes to that vet and is very into this stuff in general, and like their full-time thing is just basically taking care of their dogs. So I felt like a reasonable amount of confidence in what I'm doing. But in this scenario, what I'm doing is I'm taking 4 pounds of meat, ground beef, and then 45 ounces of vegetables, 24 ounces of beans, 31 ounces of rice, and 51 ounces of water. And that's all based on having 4 pounds of meat and the respective ratios of everything else I found in this recipe. And I'll post a link and you guys can read it and decide if it's for you. What I do is I make a big batch about once a month in my dual crock pots. So you can see them there. Maybe remove Mr. Owl's roof. I guess it technically is it where the peanut butter and everything lives. Yes, my videos. I feel like, somebody said there's room for improvement, but they're good. And I feel like, well, they are improving. I mean, I think that's sort of anything in life. Either it's getting better or it's getting worse. It's really not anything that stays the same. And so, let's see. How many people are making their own dog food? I had no idea because I had never, let's see, I'm reading what Sherry has to say. I appreciate people giving me some feedback, and I know that this is working. Let's see. Appreciate you sharing this. Yeah, absolutely, Sherry. Like my whole thing with everything I'm trying to do, like my plan is to become a doctor, but I want to be a doctor that really is effective, not only in having the best information, but conveying that information and inspiring people. And so that's kind of the logic behind what I'm doing. It's like I want stuff that works and makes a difference. And even as I've been doing these videos, I've been losing weight and getting back into a shape that I want to be. Kind of got into a little bit of a funk the last year or two. And there's reasons, and it happens, but I think health is just critical. And hey, Marianne. And so, it attributed to a toxic relationship, but I guess you could say, any relationship with anything, whether it's food or stuff you're doing physically or stuff you're doing mentally, emotionally, if it's not good for you, it's toxic. So I guess I'm having an idea about it and I'll ride about it, but that's that. So anyways, making this dog food, and then what we do is I freeze it, a lot of it, in little 1-cup containers. I put most of it in Pyrex, and I managed to accrue a lot of Pyrex. It's BPA free, and I love it, and I just look for a deal. I love deals. I am a deal hunter. But I also sometimes use the freezer safe bags or whatever. I'm constantly exploring different options, and as I find other alternatives, I'll let you know. Because, knowledge is power, and I don't feel like you build a real substantial impact based on thinking short term and thinking, oh, how can I, keep this for myself and make people give me a bunch of money for it or whatever. Like that's not my model at all. My model is helping people build good lives and building one for myself in the process. So now that the soapbox has really been fully actualized today, Mortimer, I think he must be on camera. Come here, buddy. So what I'm gonna do is normally I have a giant bowl, and that's where I combine everything in. But instead what I'm doing today is I'm gonna put everything in a big glass pans, dishes, and those are gonna be where I mix the stuff. And then I'm just gonna put it all in my dual crock pots. And yeah, as time goes on, my videos will probably be significantly more efficient, but I am doing it this way right now, especially because I'm just showing you what I'm doing and showing you that it takes time to build stuff, and that's okay. People that come up with these super glossy versions of things, that took time and energy, and I think it can be a little misleading and discouraging. So if you're hanging with me now, I appreciate it, and hopefully this is beneficial for you. So I'm gonna Trying to capture everything on film. Still getting there. And move some things around. I don't like feeling stuck or like there's no space. I don't know that many people do. Anyways, okay, so down the road, I'm going to be doing beans that are more organic and soaked and all that stuff. But right now, this is where I'm at, doing canned beans, but at least they're organic. I got this one. It Sprouts on sale. I really look for a deal. And then these I got at Aldi. And looked up at the list. There's certain beans that are more user-friendly for dogs than others. And we've been doing black beans and chickpeas. Now, you don't want to give your dog like hummus or anything like that. You don't want to give them garlic. You don't want to give them onions. Everything that I'm doing, I know to my understanding is it's nutritionally sound and not going to cause any issues, but at least for my dog. But the stuff with like garlic and onions, which you've probably heard if you've had a dog for any period of time, they're not necessarily going to have an overnight bad reaction to it, but it builds up in the blood. So you just don't want to go there. So I'm going to take my beans, I'm going to rinse them out, get, you know, anything that's not bean friendly, happens to be in the can or whatever, as much away as possible. Ideally, you want to use, I guess, organic dried beans that you rehydrate yourself, but I don't think this is a terrible way to go at the moment. It's definitely, I think, a lot better than whatever you're going to get in the bag from Purina. Try to, I'm doing things like a slightly different way than I'm used to doing them. So trying not to drip on my floor. And then kind of had to be a little funny with my proportions. So let me double check here. Your average thing of beans is 16 ounces. What I need to come up with 24 ounces. So after these guys, a little bit of a haircut. How's everybody doing today? Like, this is not just about me, this is about all of us. So I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Interesting. That's really odd. I emptied those two cans of beans completely, and I just ended up with 16 ounces, even though they both purported to be 15 ounces apiece. But they're saying that's the net weight, as opposed to the volume, I guess. Alright, that's good to know. So, I guess I need to do one more can of beans. Who knew? Who knew? Well, I'll dig into that a little deeper down the road. See if we got, yeah, one more thing of chickpeas. I mean, I could stop the video and I could hide something, or I could just kind of pretend I got it right and I didn't, but I don't want to do that. I think there's value in doing things correctly, even if it's a little awkward. So, my mind is telling me that I guess, I mean, I'll measure it, but I guess when you do with the can, you end up with about half of what it says on the outside of the can when you actually get down to the nuts and bolts of it. And you get all the water and everything out of it. And explore this whole deal with getting dried beans. My friend Bernadette, she sent me some fantastic looking and sounding recipes. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Huh, okay. That's about 16 ounces. So I don't understand why I had two full cans that were supposed to be 16 ounces together. And there should have been on 30 ounces in here. But, so we got 16 and 16. We're going for 24, so I'm just going to use half of this. And then, Is that 8? Okay, cool. And the reason I use like 2 big pans is because I mush it all together and then try to evenly distribute it, and it can be a little challenging to do that any other way. So hopefully that's logical for you. Try to make it where you can see me again. Let's see here. You see it okay? You see what's happening? Yep, definitely got a little bit of a novice thing going, but that's okay. That's how we learn, right? That's how we learn. And I'm sure there's plenty of other things that you watch that have far less value than this. So hopefully it's entertaining and valuable to you. And then I've achieved a significant goal. Alright. Also, it's different when you're doing a video as opposed to doing it yourself, like just by yourself, because then you just do it and you don't sit there and try to explain it and make sure somebody understands what you're doing. It's just a different ballpark. And that's okay. So, okay, so we got our beans. I'm gonna do the least messy stuff first. And then, for now, what I used was bagged frozen vegetables from Sam's Club. Price is pretty good. I'm probably gonna explore stuff like farmers markets in the future and see if I can, you know, ideally, I guess you want to use stuff fresh, but I think frozen is pretty okay too. We'll want to dig into that more. But I think if I can score a deal with, there's a lot of farmers markets around here because we're so close to Mexico, and they end up with a lot of more produce than they need, I guess, when they bring stuff here. They're different distributors. But I could probably get an even far superior deal going that route. I don't know. I'll look into it. You know, all this stuff takes time, takes research, and you kind of have to be where you're at the moment, and then build on it, I think. But I did look up, and it said that green beans are good for dogs, not irritating. Broccoli, I guess, can be a little irritating to the esophagus, so you want to make sure you don't use a whole lot of it. And you know, dogs, I don't know if you've noticed this with your dog, but they don't really like to chew if they don't have to. Like, they will just swallow stuff whole. So something to be cognizant of as well. Alright, we're almost there. I got my meat. My meat. And I did 80%, 80 and 85% ground beef this time. I've heard, like, I don't know, varying opinions on how good turkey is for dogs. Heard a lot lately just in general about chicken not having a lot of nutritional value. So this batch, you know, doing ground beef. And I feel like they're kind of hard pressed to go wrong with it. But, you know, people have to figure out what works for them. Mortimer has been very happy with it for sure. That is for sure. And I look for stuff, you know, I tend to get my meat at Safeway. And Sprouts. I always look for a deal. Try to get the healthiest steaming stuff for the best price. And someone gave me this as a gift, so try not to cross-contaminate. Wow, I'm gonna deal with meat that's in casing. That's okay. We're good. I expect some blood to go flying, but you know, it's always an adventure. I guess it's good that there was a roll of paper towels to catch it. Okay, alright. Moving on, making progress. Getting close to the home stretch here. I don't know if most things in life, first time you do it, unless you do it really carelessly, really, it's hard to do it right. Takes longer than you anticipated, and that's okay. But then in the future, it can go pretty smooth. So, I mean, it's like thorough first, efficiency second, and then both of them together. By nature, I'm not a particularly patient person, but I am dedicated. So, once I get dug in, I do it. Anyhow, I'm just kind of mixing this all together. I'm gonna mix this guy together, and then the last thing I'm gonna add is brown rice dried, and then this is all gonna go together along with some water in the crock pot. It's gonna hang out most of today on low, and then I'm gonna have a really nice big batch of homemade dog food that I am pretty happy about. And I was just thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna be like perfectly proportioned. Like there may be a little bit of meat, more meat in one, a little more vegetables in one. But I mean, I think that's okay because overall the average is spot on to the recipe I'm going off of. Now, you could ask if that recipe is good, and so far it hasn't been, but I'm gonna have it fun with the vet, and then I'm gonna, probably maybe have a little deeper understanding or just be deeper committed to whatever philosophy I already have. I do think there's a lot of value in medical training, but you're still dealing with human beings, and we all have our own opinions. So, let's see. The brown rice right here. How much brown rice are we doing? My little proportions schedule to do. I gotta flip it to actually be able to comprehend it. But there's just a little, disruptive thing here. 31 ounces of rice. 31. Hey. Do this thing on the home stretch. And kind of excited. Let's see. Okay. I've looked through the numbers of crock pots, and I think they're pretty fantastic. Deciding with these different recipes I'm doing, I'm going to do ideally the same kind of recipe with multiple approaches. So if you're someone that has a really strong affinity for just using the oven, I hope I have something for you. But I'm going to get pretty deep in the toaster oven. I scored a pretty nice one, and it claims, it's by KitchenAid, and it claims to be just as powerful and have as big a capacity as a standard oven, and you could even supposedly do 2 full chickens side by side. Okay, having a slight bit of crisis here, but it's rectifiable. I managed to not have quite enough rice. Let's see what I got. I got about 14 ounces. My recipe calls for 31 ounces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my recipe, and then when I'm out and about today, doing some other little this and that missions, and pick up some more brown rice, and then I'm going to add it in, because that's what I love about crock pots. It's really hard to screw up most things in a crock pot. I say most things because I attempted to do an all-in-one Thanksgiving dinner in a crock pot, and I screwed it up because there was something bread involved, and so when I did the stuffing, it leached all the moisture from everything else, and it was terrible. So, but I learned, and actually because of that, I'm gonna hold off on putting the rice in, so I put all the rice in at the same time. But I'm gonna start just cooking the meat and vegetables, and then with the water, and then add the rice in when I get it in a couple hours. And then tonight, when I have finished all this, I'm gonna show you guys the finished product. It's gonna be exciting, and then how I kind of bag it up. And I may show a little short video just to say hi, show you when I'm putting the rice in too. Give you something to tune into, because politics, you can only take so much, right? Okay, let's see here. All right. Gotta move my Starbucks. Ran out of time to drink it. I'm always working on stuff. Get a little wild over here. You think I'm trash? You did pretty good about that. But, okay. It's all good. Okay, remove this. I don't know, maybe one day I'll be one of these like slick cooking show people. Everything will be like bing bang boom. But somehow I don't think so. I think I'm always gonna want to do stuff like kind of in real time. There's a learning component for me too, because it just makes it more interesting. I've had to be a very, very adaptive my entire life. And I guess one thing that's always gotten me through is the concept of whatever I'm doing, as long as I can learn well enough from it to not repeat the same uncomfortable situations, and my takeaway could be a way to help somebody else, that's what I'll do. So, anyways, getting close, I'm plugging in my crock pots. I'll put the meat in there. It'll be very exciting. Mortimer is chomping at the bit. I have no idea if anybody's still watching because it doesn't show any eyeballs. So if anybody is watching, I would sure appreciate it if you said something, because then I would know if somebody was watching. Well, now an eyeball popped up, so I don't know. Okay, well, that's all right. I'm just kind of trying to understand how this Facebook Live thing works. But, okay, all right. Got our masterpiece sans rice. That's coming. And putting all this in one crock pot. And actually, maybe what I'll do, I like to experiment when it makes sense and I think odds are good that it's not going to blow up. I think I'll do the rice in one. I'll do the other one without rice and add the rice later and just see how long the rice takes to cook. Because I'll double check my recipe, but I think it's supposed to be about 6 hours for all this to hang out. And you can tell when it's done because the meat is cooked. Oh, another thing, I defrosted my vegetables. I didn't mention that. And I had to cheat a little because my timeline was off. So I did microwave them. I'm not a real big fan of microwaving. I want to look into it, but I think it's probably not the greatest thing for us. But you don't want to put anything frozen in a crock pot because as cool and time saving as that seems like it could be, you can actually get some kind of nasty bacteria going that way because the temperature may not ever get high enough because, you know, to compensate for that frozen item in there. So that's why you want to start with stuff that's defrosted. And I'll go over, there's different methods of defrosting. You don't want to just put the item out on your counter and let it defrost. You want to have it be consistent. So you need to do it in a water bath and change that water about every 30 minutes. It needs to be kind of cool water. And I'll continue to demonstrate that. I'm kind of passionate about it just because I don't know, read a lot and was kind of nervous about it. So I think it's important. I think it's maybe one of my jobs in life to make sure people are defrosting things properly. Okay, so anyways, I'll put this guy on low. And his friend over here. Actually, you don't need to watch me do that twice. And I'm not sure you can see me over there. So, I just want to tell you, have a great rest of your Friday. I'll probably hop on here when I add a little more rice and just show you where things are at. Typically, I do try to start things at the time I say I'm going to start them. Today got a little wild, but, you know, life happens. I feel like this is a year of building, year of stabilizing. At least that's what I'm putting out there. Putting the foundations in place for a lot of things, working on my health, making sure Mortimer's in fantastic shape because I want him to be around as long as possible. And please give me feedback if stuff is of interest, if you like it, if you want more, let me know, okay? God bless, and tonight, doing my nightly meditation, 8 o'clock, and gonna be focusing on, I think, 2 chakras at the same time, the heart and throat chakras. So, should be cool. All right. God bless. Have a good afternoon. See you a little later.